In this last week's sermon, we talked about how King David wanted to build a temple for the Lord in Jerusalem. David would not live to see its completion, but he was responsible for the collection of many of the raw materials that would be used to build the temple in Jerusalem. And David, from his own personal wealth, would contribute quite a bit. David would contribute 110 tons of gold. And just think for a moment, 1 ton equals 2,000 pounds. And for there to be 110 tons of gold, that is an insane amount of gold. But he also contributed 260 tons of silver. And then God's people would also contribute to the building of the temple. The Israelites would collect an additional 190 tons of gold, an additional 375 tons of silver, and adding to that, 675 tons of bronze, along with many other precious metals, stones, and gems. And all of these things were used to build the temple in Jerusalem. And when it was completed, my goodness, it was an incredible, jaw-dropping place. A place where many of the temple furnishings were just completely covered in gold. This was an awesome place to worship. We here at St. Paul's, we have a beautiful place to worship. There's no question about that. But obviously, it doesn't hold a candle to the temple in Jerusalem. I don't think we have anything that is covered in gold, and we certainly don't have a building that is made up of precious stones and gems. But nonetheless, we do have a beautiful building in which we worship in. We have beautiful chancel furnishings that were made, and they're beautifully done with precise detail. We have a beautiful cross that hangs in the front of our church, and it is really the focal point of our entire sanctuary. We have a gorgeous sounding grand piano up front. We have an awesome pipe organ in the balcony that can rock your socks off. We do have a beautiful place to worship. But when you compare it to the temple in Jerusalem, like I said, it doesn't even hold a candle to it. And yet, our place is just as awesome, because it's not about the building itself. It's about what happens inside the building. You see, Jesus says in Matthew 18, verse 20, "For where 2 or 3 gather together in my name, there I am with them." You see, when God's people gather together in this place, in this house of worship, God is there with us. It is in this house of the Lord where God's people connect with the Lord. It is in this house of worship where God's people are encouraged and uplifted by the beautiful, life-changing gospel message. It is in this house of worship where God's people receive the very body and blood of Jesus for the strengthening of their faith, for the forgiveness of their sins. It is here in this house of worship where God connects with his people and his people connect with God. You see, this is an awesome place to worship. And sure, it doesn't hold a candle to the Old Testament temple in Jerusalem. Quite frankly, nothing does. And sure, there are bigger and maybe more beautiful churches in the world. But this still is an equally awesome place, because here God connects with us, God uplifts us, God strengthens us, and here we get closer to God. We are brought closer to our heavenly home. My friends, this is an awesome place to worship. If this devotion has been a blessing to you, then please like and share with others. God's blessings to you all.